Hi everyone, it's Nishti here, Specialist Dietitian for Children and Parents. And in this video, you are going to learn 3 ways on how you can finally make peace with food. If you have an eating disorder or if you are overweight and you want to lose weight, the strategy is the same. We need to come at it from a mindfulness point of view. You see lots of books and techniques impose that change happens from the outside and in. So follow this meal plan, count the calories, try this diet. These are all strategies that impose change happens from the outside and in. Now, I'm going to be very cliche here in what I'm about to say, but change doesn't happen from the outside in. It happens from the inside out. And that's what I'm going to teach you today. 3 ways in how you can finally make peace with food. In our clinic, we see both children and adults that have an eating disorder or who are struggling with being overweight. And the strategy is the same. It is mindful eating. So let's dive in. Own your feelings, don't eat them. We see both children and adults that really struggle with either overeating, seeking comfort in food, or even undereating. Now, all of these behaviors is a mask for a much deeper seated issue with either anxiety or stress, not feeling good enough. So you see, because we may not be aware of how we're feeling, we're reaching for food because that's what we've learned in a society that we've grown up in, that if you're feeling somehow, you either turn to drugs, alcohol, food, but very, very few of us have learned to sit and be with our emotions and feelings. We run from our emotions and feelings. And this is the very fundamental issue when it comes to overeating, binge eating, even restricting our diet, is the inability to sit with negative emotion. Now, with mindfulness, we actually learn to sit in the discomfort. Most of us are running. Every day we run from our emotions, we run from our life, we run from one task to the next. And there is a very little pause in between these tasks. And that same goes for our mind. There is very little space in between our thoughts. But with mindfulness, you learn to create a gap between you and your thoughts because you are not your thoughts. You are not your thoughts. And the day you realize that is the day that you can finally take charge of your life. I cannot tell you how incredible it is when you finally realize that all those negative thoughts, they are not yours. Your mind will take you from tree to tree. It will jump from one branch to the other because it is a monkey mind. Most of us have a monkey mind. But with mindfulness, it does not have to be meditation. Mindfulness can be wash the dishes, think about the dishes, feel the water on your hand. It could be going for a walk, listening to the birds, watch the trees. It could be sit and just look out and watch how your mind goes from one thing to another, but perhaps try and bring it back to the present moment. So mindfulness can both be informal and formal. It does not have to be sit in meditation. It does not have to be that. But it is fundamental that if you're struggling in your relationship with food, that you start to sit with yourself and own your feelings and know your feelings. Our feelings are like little children. Most of us are just stuffing those children with food and telling them to be quiet. But if you can learn to feel your feelings, be with them, and see what they're here to say. Maybe they're here to say something that actually requires your attention. Maybe they're here to say that you're working too much and can you please slow down. Maybe they're here to say that please can you go for a walk, I need some fresh air. Maybe they're here to say that you need to distance yourself from a certain person because they are toxic for you. Our feelings and emotions are very, very important for us to listen to. So if you start to do a mindfulness or to be, to practice a mindfulness habit or meditation, then you'll find that you will start to be more present. And when you're more present, you're more alert. And when you're more alert, you're more aware. And when you're more aware, You know that your feelings are valid, they require your attention, and no amount of food and no limiting food or restricting food or overeating or turning to alcohol or drugs is going to help you. Only you can help yourself by being with yourself. I know this is difficult. I know this is difficult. That's why most likely you would perhaps require to work with a professional. But it is important to own our feelings and not eat them. We can't continue. We have to break the cycle. Chew your foods and not your worries. What do I mean? I mean that when we sit and eat, or when we stand up and eat, whatever, we need to be with our food. We need to see our food. Most of us are thinking about a million other things. Now, I'm guilty of that myself. However, I want to explain to you why it's important to make sure your thoughts are as pure and loving as possible when you eat. Now, we think that if we have a nutritious meal in front of us, then we're good. And nutritious food, yes, it is very important, but our thoughts about the food is equally as important. Perhaps our thoughts are even more important. Our thoughts make up our lives, and our thoughts carry an energy field that can change everything around us. Now, food is mainly made from water. There is an experiment that was done by Emoto where he showed that when water is exposed to either love or hate, the particles change. And when they were exposed to love, it created beautiful water particles or molecules. Whereas if it was exposed to hate, it created really poor quality molecules, water molecules. This, I think, is significant. It's profound. We may not have enough randomized control trials to prove this, but there are things we just cannot measure scientifically. But we are made from energy. We are not just this flesh and blood. And our thoughts are so powerful that they can change anything in our life. And what we put our attention to and our focus on will expand. So if we are focusing on our worrisome thoughts and hate, then that will expand in our life. If we focus on love and joy, then that will expand in our life. This is universal law. So I teach people the power of their thoughts when it comes to mindful eating. And I teach them that your thoughts are equally as important. So when you sit down and eat, try and bring your focus to the food. Perhaps show gratitude to where it's come from. Maybe even think about where it's come from in terms of if you're eating sweet corn, think about the people that made this happen. Think about the farmers. Think about the sunlight that gave rise to the sweet corn and the water that helped it grow. There is so much to be grateful for when we're eating. I'm not saying you need to sit there and be grateful for everything that you're eating, but it's a good start. But most importantly, being there with your food and not thinking about all the worry in your life is a great, great way to avoid you changing perhaps, although it's not scientifically proven, changing perhaps the vibrational state of that food. High vibration, low vibration. High vibration, love, joy. Low vibration, hate, guilt, shame. We can change our vibration when we move into more joyful and loving thoughts. And that, I really believe, will change the food and therefore will change our body for the better. So chew your food and not your worries. Mindful eating includes mindless eating. Mindful eating, does that mean that you're always going to be perfect and that's it? No. It includes mindless moments of either overeating or excessively restricting your diet. You become aware when you do it. This is what mindfulness does. It helps you to shine the light on areas in your life that you may not have been aware of before. It makes you aware that when you've overeaten. It makes you aware when you have excessively restricted your diet because you had a piece of cake and now you feel shame, guilt, and fat. All these things, you start to go, oh, why am I doing this? And what triggered this? Was it because I was too busy at work, or was it because I compared myself to someone on Instagram, or what is going on? And this is the beauty of mindfulness. It expands your mind. It makes you critical. It makes you think critical. It makes you critic about your own thoughts, because our thoughts, for most of us, they're not our best friends. They're our worst enemies. But with mindfulness, we start to question them and we go, not today, matey, not today. You're telling me I'm fat, stupid, and dumb, and you're telling me that I shouldn't have done what I did? Well, no, that was then. Now is a new moment. Oh, and now you're telling me that I'm just being, arrogant. Why? I'm taking control of my thoughts, of my life. With mindfulness, you learn to control your thoughts, and you do not allow them to jump from tree to tree, from branch to branch. This monkey mind of ours needs to be tamed, and we do that with mindfulness. Mindful eating is not perfection. Mindful eating includes mindless eating. It includes self-compassion. It includes looking at the new moment with brand new eyes and starting again.